We are...
Hey all, it's Isla here. I hope you're well. I am bringing you a discussion today on some list building theory, which I've built multiple lists for a tournament I'm going to called Fate's Return in February. It's a 500-point tournament with 4 games over 1 day. So very much looking forward to that. It's run by Dave Thompson. He's one of the local members in the MESBG group in Queensland. Last year, Dave ran a similar event to this. It was a little different, though. It was a 600-point event with 3 games over 1 day. And yeah, I didn't go so well at that event. I didn't write the most balanced list. I was trying to do too many things on my list. And later on, I realized I should have just went all into combat, getting a lot of Horde Raiders and a lot of more Serpent Riders in, because I ended up going 50% Horde Raiders with bows, and I ended up taking 7 Serpent Riders and 8 Horde Raiders with spears. So I did, and I had the Betrayer and Saladin. And I just was trying to do too many things. I got one bad matchup, and I rolled poorly on a Maelstrom mission. So one of the games, my warband of archers ended up in front of a bear, which wasn't great. And yeah, I didn't do the best. And then the matchup that I was actually hoping for was against shield walls. And the last game that I had was against a shield wall of Morannons, and I did pretty great with that list. So yes, I've written some lists that do different things. Some are highly specialized. Some will do the numbers game. Some are going to be quite balanced. And yeah, we'll see how we go. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce my Radagast Alliance. So my Radagast Alliance list is Radagast on an eagle and 3 eagles to equal 500 points. Quite a lot of speed, quite a lot of brute strength, high defense, and the brutal power attacks to get us through. In addition, Radagast's magical powers are a fantastic aid to this list. They're going to help us deal with things like if I come up against a Fell Beast, one of my favorite things to do is do a 3 dice Panic Steed. It only requires a 2+, but the higher you roll, the more dice that the Fell Beast, the Nazgul has to roll to dispel. And yeah, sometimes you end up managing to drain a lot of will and also dismount that Fell Beast. Or even if you just drain a lot of will, it's fantastic, especially when the Fell Beast and the Nazgul are going to be wanting to, use their will to immobilize your eagles and everything. On Immobilize, you can use Radagast's will to cast Immobilize. So I like to do a 2 dice Immobilize on enemy heroes, 2 dice for 3+, is very likely to go off, and you can use it to kill enemy heroes when your eagle charges, prevent you from losing in combat against a crappy matchup, and also just pester a hero and slow them down for a turn. In addition, you can use the great charge from the eagles to knock like the Fell Beasts over as well. So if you don't manage to panic that steed, you can charge into a Fell Beast with strength 7. So you're going to knock the Fell Beast prone, and you're going to throw the Nazgul, and the Fell Beast is going to run away, and then you're going to be able to rend that Nazgul to death pretty easily with the higher fight and the 3 attacks. You also have Monstrous Charge, so charging in and knocking over enemies and managing to do a lot of extra wounds because they're going to be trapped when you roll those dice against them. One big weakness of the list is a low model count and also low might, with only 3 might with a single hero in the list. A trick with the might is to use it for Radagast combat. So if he's in a bad matchup, you can always throw up a heroic defense, and also calling combats with Radagast, so he can get in there, get to a hero that he wants to kill, or help an eagle get out of a bad situation. It's very important that you use your might wisely, because you only get 3 points, and it's no point wasting it on channel, especially in this list with having the finite will, because you do lose the Staff of Power when Radagast is mounted on an eagle. It's a list with a lot of finesse, and when piloted well, it can be unstoppable. The next list on the chopping block is my Fangorn list. So this is Treebeard, Quick Beam, and Beachbone. And on top we have Merry and Pippin, and they're a nice 10 points, so they round out the list to 500 exactly. And yeah, so this list has a lot of might compared to the Eagle list, 9 might. And we've got Quick Beam, who is an awesome Ent hero, even though he's got there's a little bit weaker in the combat with less fight and less strength. He's actually got movement 8, so he moves quite quick, and he's also got a march for heroic action. Beachbone's a massive combat Ent. He's an awesome combat supporter. And same with Treebeard, just absolute combat beast. And we got Merry and Pippin there just to pop off some rocks, see if we can't get a horse or two or something with the rocks as we move forward. And yeah, this list has the same sort of weakness with the Eagles. Whereas the Eagles have low numbers and it is hard for them to get around and capture objectives. It's even harder so for the Ents, because the Ents only have movement 6 or movement 8, including quick beams movement. So it's a bit harder for them to get around on the objectives. The march can help, although you will have to keep them within 6 of quick beam if you do march. So yeah, definitely one that'll be interesting to play. There are fewer model. There's one less model than in the Radagast list, so it might be a bit easier to get the Ents trapped, which can be unfortunate. But with the high might, definitely with moves and brutal power attacks and barges and stuff and the like, you should be hopefully able to, at this points level, keep them kicking around and doing what they need to do. So my next list is my Riv Knight list, and oh my god, are these boys oppressive. We've got Elrond on a steed with his heavy armor, 12 Knights of Rivendell with shield, and a Knight of Rivendell with a banner. I've done incredibly well with this list in the past at higher points, but at higher points I keep the same amount of troops and I get Glorfindel and a captain. So at this point, with this many bow shots, I think I had in that list was 14 bows instead of 13 bows. But I've done 16 wounds to an orc army over the course of 3 turns, I think it was, through shooting with bows. So a very oppressive kiting list. With the Tango Hide, if you do get into a position, or even in the first turn or two, if you're just going to sit back and shoot, you do get to reroll ones to hit. Not the biggest benefit, but it can still help you, like getting an extra hit or two is potentially an extra dead enemy casualty. And then just with the Fight 5 and the Lancers and the 2 attacks on the charge, just can be so oppressive. Another neat trick is Elrond has his foresight points, which I always forget to roll up, but I'm getting better with it. So he gets D6 foresight points to affect the priority, so you can do some priority shenanigans and win it when you really need to win it. Weakness with this list will be low bodies. You're going to have half the amount of troops your opponent's going to have. Also, if they have shooting or anything that can catch you and put the pressure on you, you're going to definitely have to play to your best. You can still definitely take it out. And the other thing is low might. We've only got 3 might in this list, so that's another weakness that your opponent can exploit if possible. So definitely one thing we want to keep doing is making sure we use Elrond's might to the best of our ability, making the right choices for that, calling the right actions at the right time. Here's another list that I'm really excited about, and I definitely think could do some damage, is Beorn and 15 Beornings in the Legendary Legion. So yeah, it's really just going to rely on having good, reliable, sturdy Fight 5 troops that can go up to Strength 5 with two-handed and burly, and also just a powerhouse of a hero in Beorn who can definitely do some damage with his Fight 8 and his brutal power attacks. A weakness of the list is not enough speed. I find that with Beornings, I've always just want a march or something in there to get me going, but yeah, stuck at move 6 and move 8 with the bear. Definitely have to make sure you get up there, be aggressive and deploy properly, and make sure you don't dilly-dally and get straight into combat. Also, I've got all axes on my bears, two-handed axes, because the bows, whilst I think they can be good, maybe at 1,000 points, I just found that when I run Beornings at 800 points, I've always just found the bows lackluster, and I just think I'm going to want those 15 warriors up, doing the damage, blocking out opponents, and cutting through troops. And one last weakness to note with this list is also there's only one hero again, so only 3 might with the bears. But that being said, the resilience of the warriors and the bears and the damage output I should really make up for the lack of might. Okay, so this is the first of the balanced lists that I've written. This is my Numenorean list. It's a captain, and he's running 10 Numenoreans with spear and shield, and 1 Numenorean with a spear, shield, and a banner. Then we have a lender with 5 Numenoreans with bows, and 6 Numenoreans with spears and shields. This is a total of 24 models, highly reliable troops, fantastic heroes in the captain and Elendil, plenty of might, 5 might, definitely a good amount for 500 points, and absolute beast of a hero in Elendil. Just showing off my conversion, King Elisar with an Elendil head chopped off and put on and a Numenorean shield. Elendil's just an amazing character. He's fight 7, so he can deal with the best of the heroes. He's got a strike, he gets free combats every turn. So yeah, he's definitely able to give some push. He's able to deal with the enemy heroes, and with the steed he's going to deal out all that much more damage, as well as Narsil being a master forged hand and a half weapon, so he doesn't get the -1, so he's basically burly. The main tactic of this list is to use the shield wall to block out enemy infantry and take on the brunt of the assault, and use the archers to ping off cavalry as I need to, do some chip damage to heroes or monsters, and then also spread out and grab objectives. I definitely think the army list is really well balanced. One thing I do think will potentially let it down, maybe not, is that I have a defense 5 shield wall. So whilst my troops are going to be winning most of the combats with fight 4 and killing a lot of stuff with strength 4, they still only have a defensive 5. Although shield gating can help mitigate that, especially if I end up having to spread out and get a lot more board control, I can do that and use my shielding, which I've done in the past quite effectively. Moving on now to our second all-cav installment, we have Fadden's Riders, with Fadden leading 4 Royal Guard with throwing spears. And we also have a Airmare as well with throwing spears and a horse with 3 Royal Guard, and Daewine, who is yet to be painted, but he's also running 3 Royal Guard with throwing spears. So everyone on the list has throwing spears, and is mounted as per the prerequisite for Fadden's Riders. Very effective list. Awesome to get the throwing spears in. Can do a bit of kiting if you need to, but it's all about those charges and throwing in your throwing spears and getting engaged and having the +1 fight and the +1 strength, and also having death with the 3 heroes and free heroic combats from Daewine is certainly very impressive. Not much else to say about this list, really. Weaknesses are mainly low model count, and apart from that, defense 6 is going to keep you afloat for quite a while, and you're definitely going to have plenty of damage output with those 8-inch strength 3 throwing spears and all the extra charge bonuses you get for being Rohan. Coming up next is my Rangers of Mirkwood Legendary Legion. So Legolas is the leader in this one, and we have Tariel as well. They're both leading a warband of 11 Mirkwood Rangers each. So a total of 24 models, low defense, elven cloaks though, so they can hide behind terrain and be invisible, and plenty of shooting output with, I believe it's 26 bow shots if you shoot the triple shot with Legolas. And yeah, just definitely a lot of threat. You want to kite, you want to choose your combats wisely when it comes to that, and you want to maximize the amount of turns you're shooting and prioritizing targets. You definitely want to get rid of big scary monsters, and you want to try and snipe people out with blinding light and prevent that from ruining your whole shooting advantage. So last but not least, and definitely the only evil army on this list, sorry guys, my evil armies don't scale that well at the moment. So Goblin Town, it's a whopping 60 models with Garina here with 18 goblins, and the Goblin King with 15 goblins and Gollum. Sorry, Gollum isn't present. He was in the box with Range of Azathilan, and I just was too lazy to get that out. And then 2 goblin captains with 10 goblins each. Yeah, a whopping 60 models. There's 11 might in the army between Grinner, the captains, and the king and Gollum. And yeah, definitely oppressive, a lot of models on the board. I didn't go for the scribes. The scribes do add to casualty numbers, and also it's 50 points as well, so it definitely was going to hamper some of the numbers that I could have bought in the initial list. So I decided to opt and go max numbers and opt out of the scribe. And yeah, I think I got a pretty cool list here. For you, all of you who don't know, the golem with the ring, he can slip the ring on, and yeah, he can become a bat swarm for the Goblin King, as well as adding extra attacks to the fight as well. So he definitely can make the Goblin King almost unstoppable, basically giving the Goblin King fight 12, because Golem can half your opponent's fight. So he's always going to be winning the fights that Golem with the ring on and the Goblin King are engaged in together. Also, Golem has his strength 4 and his attacks as well, so if he is in another combat, he can actually, with his 2 might, use call a heroic combat as well, and also get into the Goblin King's combat to help out. So that's definitely one way with this list that you deal with enemy monsters and things, as well as just sheer weight of numbers, and can be quite oppressive, and leaving Goblin or 2 on objectives also can definitely help you with your board control. Apart from that, that's the list. So that's it, guys. Thank you for watching towards the end. I hope you enjoyed, hope you learnt something if you did. How would you guys play these lists at a tournament? Which list would you run to a tournament? What sort of list would you write for a tournament like this? Are all good questions that I would love to hear down in the comments, see your answers too. And yeah, if you haven't already, like and subscribe, and please do wish us luck for By the Fates. And yeah, let me know what list you think I should run. I'm not 100% sure yet. I do think all these lists are also great for an expansion. So if you do want to start building your collection to 500 points, you can collect these lists as a base if you like, and then add on to it to get up to 800 points and beyond.